Well, we are back. Welcome back to the Not for the Weak podcast. It has been a minute. I don't even know when the last episode was updated. I think it's been it might have been like the first or second week of quarantine. I'm not entirely sure, but we fell off. We fell off hard, and we fell off quickly. As soon as the quarantine happened, pretty much. Just things got crazy, and I think that's understandable. I mean, I was also really focused on building BLASTHOUSE, so that kind of took a lot of my attention. But now I'm refocused. You guys may notice that Jeremy and Wes are not here. They are no longer going to be regulars on the podcast, and that's not like bad blood or anything. It's just how life works. Wes has moved to Florida, so that makes it very difficult to get him on the podcast on a regular basis. And Jeremy is just super slammed at work with family stuff. He's got a lot on his plate. So they will both be on from time to time when scheduling permits. But just the way scheduling works right now with them and their way their lives are, they are just too busy right now to be on the podcast on a regular basis. But they will be back from time to time, so have no fear, friends. But yeah, welcome back to the podcast. So moving forward, we're going to kind of refocus. It's going to take a little change in the podcast because obviously Jeremy and Wes are not here on a regular basis. So going to focus more on one-on-one conversations, unless they're around, and just. My goal for 2021, I want to expand my knowledge base. I want to talk to some people that are awesome, that, are at the top of their games in whatever field, not necessarily just fitness related. Like, I don't want to become one-dimensional like that. I feel like at a time I moved towards a one-dimensional kind of like plane, right? I just became so focused on fitness and everything fitness related that just became kind of my life, right? And I still love fitness, but I want to, stay hybrid, right? I want to be good at everything. I want to be well versed in everything. I think a lot of people take their strides from Joe Rogan and how he is. He's well versed in a variety of different disciplines and stuff, and I think to an extent, I want to be like that as well. And so moving forward, we're going to talk to a lot of awesome people that I know, and also people that maybe I don't know, but I want to learn something from, like that are at the top of their game, that are, awesome people to be around, and just talk to some badass people. And that's going to be the goal for 2021. And so hopefully you guys stick around and enjoy and can, absorb some knowledge from these conversations that I have with these awesome people. And I'm gonna be consistent with this. This is gonna be at least a weekly thing, maybe depending on how much steam we can pick up with guests and stuff, maybe twice a week. But at the moment, we'll go once a week, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see how 2021 goes. So this first episode, I actually talk with a good friend of mine, Justin Dubs. He's a well-known powerlifter and powerlifting coach. He actually coaches me right now and is getting me ready for some meets in 2021. And he's a great dude. He's a really interesting guy. He dealt with a lot of substance abuse problems and addictions in the past. And it kind of, affected his business, affected his life, and he took control finally, and he battled back. And so we talk about his battles, his struggles, as well as his victories, his way back up out of, the ashes. And it's a great insight, super insightful for me because I'm not super familiar with that type of lifestyle, right? I don't have anybody super close to me that was addicted to that scale of drugs. And so it was interesting to hear his perspective and inspirational to see how he's turned his life around. We also talk about his fatherhood. He just became a father recently, as well as we discuss, powerlifting in general, gym ownership, a bunch of really great topics. There's a lot of gems in there. And so, yeah, check it out. Here we go. Episode 1 of the relaunch, Justin Dubs. Let's go.
Who the fuck is that guy?
I make my own moves, yeah, I'm bossing.
All weak bitches, please proceed to the exit.
Is there no one else? Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
We are not for the weak.
What's going on, man?
Nada, dude. Just basically just got off of daddy duty, so getting ready here to have dinner in a little bit, and that's about it. Otherwise, just been hanging out with my kid all day. So it's been fun.
Living the dream.
Dude, he keeps me busy.
Yeah,
super busy.
I bet, man.
He has me chasing him all over the house. So
that's what
he's a good kid. I'm excited to be a dad.
Right on. Yeah, I was my girlfriend and I got a dog at the beginning of quarantine. I was like, dude, I don't know if I could handle a kid. Like, the dog is already too much, you know what I mean?
Dude, I'm telling you, like, it's been the biggest life shift for me because I was someone who was running around all the time, busy, nonstop. You know, I wasn't at home a lot, and now I'm home every day,
right,
all day almost. And he is like basically the center of all my attention. So it's, you know, coaching and all that stuff had to take a back seat when he came in.
Right.
So having dogs
as it should though.
Looking back, what's that?
I said, as it should, right? Like, as he needs to be a priority,
absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. But yeah, he's it is a huge like responsibility. Like it changes everything, dude.
Yeah.
You become like a dog can take up, you know, you got to take it out, you got to do this, you got to do that. But then when you got a kid, it's like
it's a whole nother
nonstop
level.
Needs your attention.
Yeah.
Oh man, it is a whole nother level.
It's like a dog, at least when you leave it by itself, it can still kind of take care of itself for the most part. But a baby,
dude, it could totally look after itself. Whereas the kid, who knows what he's going to get into.
Dude, I remember
everything right now.
I remember when I think I was a freshman in high school, they did this thing. We had like these live dummies. There was like the baby dummies that they gave us to like take home for the night. Yeah. And like you had like this little strap on your wrist that you would have to like plug into the back. So when it like started crying, like you had to like basically pick it up, and that was his way of. And I remember being so pissed because mine just would not stop crying. I like slept like 2 hours. I was so pissed. I was like yelling at my mom, like, come take this fucking baby. Like,
take care of this baby.
Yeah. It's like, it's not even my fucking baby.
And that's exactly how it goes, dude. Like, there'll be moments where they just cry hysterically and you just don't know. And you're just sitting there like, oh my God, how am I going to get through this?
How old is your kid now?
He's going to be 14 months on the 16th.
Right on.
So yeah, man, it's awesome. He's been talking a lot and now he's walking. So it's legit.
He'll be deadlifting before no time.
Dude, I can't wait. He picks up. He's so strong already, dude. It's insane the stuff that he's been picking up.
Yeah.
But
well, you and your wife are both pretty active, good genetic people. So I'm sure he's gonna be gifted, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. We want him to, you know, I want my kid to be into whatever he wants to be into. You know, people have asked if I'm going to like, you know, want him to be into lifting and all that stuff. And of course I do, but if he ends up not liking lifting, like to my level, that's totally okay.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely want him to explore everything and see what his talents are, because I definitely feel like he's going to be a talented little dude.
I think that's a huge issue. Like, I was talking to some parents about that the other day, is nowadays it's become such a isolated and specialized, like kids are becoming so specialized on a specific task or a specific sport that like they're not branching out and like experiencing. Like when I was younger, I played, you know, hockey, I played soccer, I played everything, right? And now you got these kids that are like 9, 10 and they're playing soccer or football and that's all they're playing, right? Like it's such a detriment, you know, in the long run.
Yeah, because I mean, growing up, dude, I mean, how old are you right now?
34.
Yeah, so we're the same age. So it's like, dude, growing up, it was common for kids like us to be multi-sport athletes.
Right.
You know, play everything. Growing up, you tried everything. Mm-hmm. And you're right, because I've worked with a lot of kids, you know, in the last 5 years, and their parents basically just want them to be a football player or a basketball player, and that's all they focus on. Or it's like, your kid, this might not be your kid's jam. Your kid's jam might be something totally different.
Well, not even just that, but like the the motor skills developed, like you're developing, like you're only developing part of your motor skills, right? Because you're only doing, like baseball players, right? Big example, like you're only throwing with one arm.
Yes.
You're not, you know what I mean? And
Yeah, that's an amazing point right there, because being super specific on one thing does limit you to what your full capabilities are, and your abilities as a human being, like you said, like just your skills.
yeah. And the ability to grasp new skills, I think.
Yes, sir.
Right. But I don't know. It'd be cool if your kid was into lifting, but like even if he's not into lifting, as long as he likes to lift every now and then, right? Like that's the big thing, right?
Yeah, dude, if he just wants to live to be healthy, or he just does it to exercise once in a while, great, dude.
Yeah.
I just don't want to see my kid become very unhealthy, and that's what I don't want.
No. And I think there's a fine line there too, where you're pushing for health and just like general wellness, and then pushing too hard, and I don't know.
Absolutely, yeah. There's a lot of parents that I've run into, like I was saying, that and they're not seeing, just like what you were just saying about the kids' ability to develop in their motor skills. Like parents don't see that. They don't see that focusing on one thing and pushing their kid to do that one thing because they think that that's what their kid's the best at. It is. It's holding back a lot of their other, like, physical development and stuff like that. So, and not even on a physical side, on a mental side too. I've seen it where kids, like one kid I coached, he basically was just doing the sport that he did. He liked playing baseball, but he had so many other things he wanted to do, but he was too afraid to tell his dad because his dad was so hardcore about baseball.
Oh, that's a bummer. That's a bummer. Because he's going to end up hating baseball because of that, probably at some point, or he's going to get burnt out of baseball.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, well. So. How are you doing though, man? How are you holding on with all this quarantine stuff going on?
Man, I'm hoping they don't lock us all down again, dude. But I mean, it's I don't know. I'm always at home as it is, so like quarantine didn't really change much. I was actually, when it first happened in March, I was like, man, this is dope. We don't have to go anywhere. We can just stay home all day.
Yeah.
Cool.
You're not obligated to go hang out with people.
You don't have to go anywhere. It's great. I don't have to do shit.
Yeah.
But then after a few days, I'm like, oh man, this wasn't so great. I kind of want to get out of here.
Right.
Very cooped up, and with all the locking down of everything, like, man, it is really affecting our world in general. Like, I feel bad for so many people who suffer with mental health issues because, locking them down and disrupting their routine. I can't imagine what that has done for some people.
Yeah, the routine thing is the big thing for me. Like I'm a very routine oriented person. Like I like getting up at this time, doing this, and then I'm hitting the gym at this time, and then I'm back home. Like I have my schedule, and it's like just a small little tweak to that schedule is like fucking awful, right?
Yeah, dude.
So if I had like you said, some like anxiety issues or some severe OCD, maybe I'd be freaking out a little bit more. But for me, it's just an inconvenience. But
very much so.
Yeah,
very much so. And that's the thing, dude, is like, I would definitely say that the quarantine has affected me a little bit. Like I was a little depressed there for a while. It's kind of getting shitty. And, also on top of things, we don't have two vehicles. We're just down to one car right now. And that's how we've pretty much been doing it this whole year. And that's made it hard because my wife, she goes to work and I'm home with my son. So I have no way of going anywhere.
right.
So it definitely, like, I can't imagine being someone who is already really depressed or, is very reliant on going out and doing things and being active. And then all of a sudden, boom, you're not active anymore.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the people that are suffering from that. And then, all the business owners that are suffering and all the other thing that this COVID and the lockdown shit has brought on. It's just been awful for our country.
Yeah. I was just talking yesterday. I did a podcast with my buddy Chris, and he's out in Australia, right? And he was talking, got on the topic of, like how many people are actually going to go back to the gym now that like all these guys have built out their massive home gyms, right?
Yeah.
But then he's saying that like they're having an all-time high in terms of like memberships out there because of all the people that like just want to get out for the social aspect of it. And I think that's a huge thing that people don't even think about, right? Like I see like on the news or like people that are pushing for the lockdown, they're like, oh, it's just, you can work out anywhere. It's like, well, it's not just the working out aspect and the health aspect. It's it's the mental health, it's the, community based that some of these, like, I haven't seen some guys that went to the gym, like I haven't seen them in like 8 months because we can't do anything, right? Only would see them at the gym, and now I haven't seen those guys, so I hope they're doing good, right? But
Yeah. And that is weird. You don't realize that there are some people in your lives that you only see at the gym. And then all of a sudden when the, stuff changes, you don't see those people anymore. And two, you made a big point there. Like, people don't realize that it's not just about working out. We can work out anywhere, but the gym offers that, like, that environment and that social aspect that people really seek out. And that's why a lot of people do go to the gym, just because they get to hang out with their buddies or whoever, and they get to socialize and get a good workout in.
Yeah.
And I know so many people that go in there and they're not really training. They're just there to bullshit.
Right. You got that one guy that just comes in and all he does is talk. Like, he doesn't even necessarily touch any weights, right?
Guys, they'll talk and talk and talk, but they're super good people. They just want to be social.
Right. And I think we haven't quite seen the ramifications of this lockdown in terms of that, like how those people are dealing with this mentally and for their own well-being, right?
Yeah. And I know a lot of people too, like, that are suffering from mental health, also suffer from addiction, and addiction has risen a lot now because of COVID and lockdowns. And I know a lot of people that have relapsed because they're fucking locked down. They can't do nothing. They can't go, like, again, do their routines that keep them healthy.
Yeah.
And they just fall back mentally. They fall out, and then they fall back in old bad habits.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah. The people that are on, that clean pathway, and now their whole, their routine, right? Like you were saying, is totally disrupted, and how easily it is to fall back into that, whatever they were in addiction with.
Yeah. And it's so quick to fall back, especially when, like I said, this type of stuff happens, because if you just are stuck at home, and say a lot of people that are doing it, they're stuck at home and they live alone. So then they're stuck alone the whole time. Boom. Next thing you know, they're relapsing, hitting someone up. I need to do this because I want to get out of my head. I want to escape. Or they start drinking. I know a lot of people who are former users, or a few people, I should say, that have said they're drinking more.
Yeah.
So
they've kind of replaced one vice with another.
One vice with another.
Yeah.
And, sobriety is kind of how would you say, like, I know a lot of people wouldn't call me sober because I smoke pot and stuff like that, but I think whatever was in your life that was destroying it and you're staying away from it, then you're sober.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
I mean, I think you could say that's a lot of things, right? Like, as long as it's not creating the issues that arose from the initial, addiction, right? Because some people might say that working out is an addiction, right? Or social media is an addiction, right? Like, there's a bunch of things that you can be addicted to, but some of them are better addictions than other, right?
Yeah. You could have a healthy, something that's super healthy for you, become an addiction that ends up interrupting your life in some way.
Yeah.
Again, the working out, how many relationships have been wrecked because someone is going to the gym too much? And, I've had clients before where they're just like in the gym all the time. And it's like, damn, you don't really need to be there that much.
Right. Probably running away from that relationship, to be honest.
Dude, there's always a reason. There's always something that, they're going to the gym to escape, or this or that. And that's, man, and it's with a lot of people.
Yeah.
They're always trying to escape something. And that's where the addiction comes from, is get me out of this. People are addicted to food because it makes them feel good. Well, I want to eat so I can feel better because I'm feeling depressed or sad.
Yeah.
Food's a drug. Sugar's a drug. It's been proven over and over how addicting sugar is. And if people knew what sugar does to the brain, it would blow their mind how detrimental sugar could be for your brain.
Yeah, I think the sugar addiction is for sure real. Because I was talking, because my girlfriend and I, we've done some bodybuilding shows in the past, right? And this past year, or 2019, I did a show, and didn't touch sugar for 12 weeks, right? Like, totally didn't touch it at all. And I wasn't craving it really. Like, I was like, oh man, an Oreo would be great. But like, I wasn't thinking about it. Right.
Yeah.
And then after the show, right, you had that little cheat meal or whatever, indulged. And then it became like a roller coaster. Like once that floodgate was opened, it was like, oh, pack of Oreos. Oh, I'm at the store. I'm grabbing a fucking candy bar.
Yeah,
And I
dude.
found myself even now still doing that. Like I'll go to the checkout aisle, and I never used to buy candy bars from the checkout aisle, but I'll be there like, man, that sounds hella good. So I'll grab one.
Yeah, dude.
And it's like, what the fuck? And like this, I never used to be like this, but it's almost in the back of your head. It's just that little thing. It's like, grab that.
Yeah, it's that little fucking trigger of dopamine that fucking sugar gives us. So we find ourselves like we see it and we're like, oh, that's gonna taste so good.
Yeah.
And then boom, you eat it, tastes good, you feel good for like 20 minutes, whatever, and then all of a sudden you're like, shit, man, why'd I eat that?
It totally wasn't worth it. It totally
wasn't worth it. And that's how it is with drugs and anything else that we're having issues with. You know, you become consumed with something, and you're something, and you develop a habit. And that's what the addiction with addicts it is. They're just developing a habit of, you know, doing this, like whatever they're doing, or, you know, whatever they're using, the whole process of getting it, breaking it down, then getting ready to hit it, do it however they're doing it. That's also addicting, because a lot of people will be addicting to they just need to start doing this, or this process of this.
Yeah.
So
That's, yeah, so how long have you been clean?
So it would be, we're looking on April. I'm moving on 2 years. April of next year will be 3 years.
Right on.
3
Dude, that's
years
awesome.
of no opiates or heroin. So or meth.
That's fucking awesome.
I've just been smoking some pot. I like to do a little shrooms here and there with my wife, or, you know, stuff like that.
But
comes out of the ground, we're all for
it. Nothing like before, huh?
Oh yeah, dude. So I mean, I'll say this too. Yes, you can have issues with smoking marijuana too much, and you can have somebody that takes mushrooms too often. Anything can be abused.
Yeah. No, that's 100%. Like it's like you were just saying, the sugar, everything. Like there's a bunch of shit that can just, you don't even think about, right?
Yeah, you don't. And a lot of too, like honestly, with the sugar things, there's so many people that are addicted to it. They don't even have a clue. You know, They don't realize that, you know, the health association or whatever says we should only have this amount of sugar per day, but then these people don't realize they're getting 200, 300 grams of sugar, and they might get it in a sitting.
Yeah, you don't even realize. No.
So that's just awful.
What so going back to your story, what was the turning point that for you where you're like, I can't be like this anymore?
You know, my addiction was like a kind of a it was short-lived, but like looking back, there was moments of it throughout a span of years, like where it'd be, you know, I might binge on something here or there, never really developed into a continuous problem.
Right.
But then finally in 2016 or 2017, I developed, that's when it really got out of hand. And there was a period in basically just what got me to want to just stop is once you're getting high so often, you know, you're using so long, you're not even getting high anymore. You're not even getting the euphoric rush or the, you know, that what you're seeking. You're not getting that anymore. Once you've used for so long or a certain period of time, it becomes just about survival. Right. Because if you stop using at that point, you're going to become so sick and so ill that you're not going to be able to function. People don't die from it, but you definitely feel like you're on the verge of death. And so that's what it becomes, chasing the dragon. That's why so many people become addicted to opiates and heroin and meth, because they get that rush, and then the crash, the come down, the detox is so excruciating, so awful that they just want to avoid it. So they stay addicted. And with me, I got to the point to where I wanted to quit so many fucking times, dude. I just could not live this life. You know, I already had gone through one major withdrawal during the hurricane. So when we had the big hurricane, Harvey, I think it was down here, that entire week of the hurricane, I was going through withdrawals. And I mean, it was awful. It was awful. I put my wife through hell. She thought she was going to die. She was running through the streets, you know. I was terrifying her. And basically, so that thing happened. And then when that point came along, that's when I really knew that this was a major issue, dude. major issue when my whole life had to revolve around picking up my stuff, doing this, doing that, blah, 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 blah. So finally, after so many failed attempts of doing it, I finally just went to this place. It was like a recovery clinic, but it was outpatient. You didn't have to stay there.
Yeah.
So I finally, one day, I was in my normal routine. Could go to my dealer and get my shit, or what are we going to do here? And I finally just said, fuck it. And I went to Symmetria, and I went in there and I basically admitted myself, got set up with them. And basically I started doing piss test every day. You had to come in before 9:30 a.m. and you had to take a UA every single day. And they tried to get me on methadone and Suboxone and all that stuff, but I was not. A lot of people, when they're addicted, they'll go to methadone to get off because it's basically just going to prevent you from withdrawing, but all it's doing is prolonging the inevitable.
Right. Because you're going to have to come off that eventually too.
You're going to have to come off that anyway. And that is 10 times worse coming off of than it is heroin or any type of other opiate.
Is it really? I didn't realize that.
It's awful because one, with most opiates and stuff like that and heroin, they're going to be in and out of your system in a few hours. Within 12 hours of your last hit, you're going to be withdrawing.
Right.
Whereas methadone, it'll be a couple of days. You will feel fine for a day or two, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, you're just boom. You're like, oh,
yeah,
sweating, just everything awful.
Oh man. Yeah, you don't hear too much about that. Like I've heard of methadone and the Suboxone, but you don't really hear like that side of it as much.
Nope, you don't hear the reality of it. And I know people that are still on it today, and they've been on for years because at this point they're too afraid. They're like, I've been taking it for so long, I don't want to stop.
Yeah.
And what I used to do is every time I wanted to quit, I would just buy a few. I'd buy some from somebody, and then I would try to use that to quit or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Or then at one point in time, I had friends that were still trying to get clean, and I would try to help them get clean. Mm-hmm. And you just use it by taking the methadone for like a day or two, and to kind of help you wean off, kind of make the withdrawals like not as extreme, but it doesn't work. They're always going to be extreme as fuck, and you're going to be super sick.
Yeah, that's a rough Dude, time right there.
I feel so bad for people that are addicted right now and that are struggling with it.
Can't hear you, dude.
The addiction, all it is. And after that, it's even more mental because the physical stuff subsides, and then your depression sets in. Then you're just depressed forever. And I was depressed for what felt like definitely all of 2018. I was a mess. I was a very emotional mess. I mean, I could hardly function. I was functioning, but at a very low level. My coaching was kind of on a rise, but it was also going down at the same time because I couldn't keep up with 100 freaking clients like what I was able to do when I was using, because I was mixing, opiates and methamphetamines together. So I'd be
up all the time.
And I'm just able to crank it out, dude. Boom, boom, let's go. But after everything stopped and I needed to get my life together, I couldn't manage that many people, and I couldn't be a good coach. I needed to what I should have done when I got clean is I should have just totally stepped away from everything and kind of focused on getting healthy mentally.
Yeah.
Because I was a mess. I was trying to keep up with everything and keep up appearances, but in the inside I wasn't good at all.
Right. And that's a huge thing right there. And I think even outside of the addiction, like that applies to other things, right? Like it's okay to take a step back, and let things kind of settle down and focus on one task instead of trying to still juggle everything, right? Because in the end, you never are able to juggle everything. Like it always ends up crashing down.
I don't know too many people that can juggle everything.
No,
I know people that can juggle a couple things.
Yeah.
But never everything. And even the people that can juggle one or two things at the same time still talk about how stressed out they are or this or that. So it's like, we're not meant to handle all of it,
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's especially if you're working with that many clients, that's that many different personalities, like everyone's texting you, emailing you. It's overwhelming, especially if you're not right with yourself. Right.
I was not right at all, dude. And my phone would blow up so much. And, and that was a big thing that would happen. Is people would basically just said that I kind of fell off. Like they wouldn't hear from me much or stuff like that. And they wouldn't, because dude, honestly, on the other end of that line, I was a mess. I was so sad. And,
Yeah.
my wife thought I didn't love her anymore. Or, I was trying to find feeling anywhere I could, because I felt like I couldn't feel anything. I felt like I had no pleasure anymore. Nothing that would bring me joy or pleasure did anymore. I didn't, wasn't getting that dopamine rush anymore of anything. Watching favorite shows, doing things that I used to really love doing, didn't. I would try to find anything that I could to bring me some pleasure, to make me feel good again. And even if it was something that was ended up bad, at one point I started using MDMA, Molly. I started using that, microdosing, because I thought that would heal my depression.
Right.
And all that did is made me a weirdo. Complete goof. I was all quacked out of my mind. So
that's a pretty common thing with withdrawals from the opiates and stuff, right? Like the serotonin and the dopamine aren't on point, and there's like, it's the same as, like testosterone or something, right? Like your body stops producing it at a certain point. So
yeah.
Have you noticed, I guess I've never really asked or like looked into it, but like, does that come back at some point? Like, have they done studies about that as much?
Like, are you saying like, say your dopamine, serotonin, all
Right,
stuff,
right.
it's depleted, does it rebound?
Yeah. Does it rebound at a certain point?
Yeah. So basically it can take, from everything that I've learned and looked at and stuff like that, it depends on your length of use, how much you've been using, what other stuff has been involved, and then your prior mental health history already also. Okay. So depending on those factors, it could be anywhere from a month to 2 years,
Oh, wow.
It could be longer. Some people are reported that patients are still facing a lot of their mental health issues or the depressions to a certain extreme up to 5 years after. Wow. But those have also been people that have had super long use.
Heavy users right there.
Heavy users. And at my peak use, I was using quite a bit, and I was obviously selling to fuel my habit. So I was flipping to use, and then I was using so much that it made no point. It was just a big waste.
Yeah.
And your tolerance gets so high, and then you have to deal with all the withdrawals. So using all that much just made me go through even more hell.
Right.
Off.
Yeah.
So it's, I can tell you this, like I've had it in my head that I've wanted to do something or create something that could help people that are trying to get off the shit, because you really fucking can do it on your own. You really can quit. I mean, not on your own, but you can quit without having to spend $50,000 to go to a rehab clinic.
Right.
It all comes down to what you provide for your body when you're going to do it. Like, giving your body testosterone, you're going to need to give it a lot of vitamin C, nutrients, and vitamin D, iron, magnesium, and probiotics, because when you're using opiates and all that stuff, it's killing your tests. Yeah. It's killing all the healthy gut bacteria stuff in your gut. It's depleting your vitamin D. It's depleting your magnesium. That's why anxiety hits so hard after you quit, because your magnesium's depleted.
Right.
And it makes your estrogen shoot way up. So when you come off of things, your body goes into haywire. You just go absolutely fucking nuts, dude.
Yeah.
And so, you got to realize that your body, the only reason why you're hurting so much and everything sucks is because you're feeling again, because you've been using something that numbs you to everything. So, people are like, oh, I hurt like this and that. And it's like, well, yeah, because your body's turning back on, your body's rebooting. It's starting up again. So if you give it vitamin D, you give it magnesium, you give it testosterone, you give it the new essential nutrients that it needs, you can make your withdrawals go away faster. You can get yourself rebounded so much quicker. I mean, It's going to suck regardless of what route you go, but there are ways to rebound and get your mental health and your physical health back on track at a rapid rate. It's how dedicated are you to wanting to do it? And it's always that first week or two to get through. If you can get through the first week, you can definitely get through another week. If you can get through the first day, you're going to get through day 2.
Right.
Day 1 and 2 are the worst. Day 3, it tapers off. Day 4, it just gets better and better. So if you can make it through day 1 and 2,
Yeah.
you're good.
Well,
Golden.
that's like everything. You got to make it through the first couple steps, and then it just becomes a habit after that, right?
It really does. And you develop the habit to get where you are. Now you're going to have to consciously develop a habit to get out of this spot and get to a new place.
Yeah. What do you think was the biggest thing for you? Because like you said you were going through that period where you were having like the extreme depression. What do you think was like that spot where it started getting better for you?
Man, honestly, dude, I didn't start getting better until like 6 months ago. Like
Wow.
really, about 6 months ago is when I finally started getting better. I shouldn't say that. More like, because it's been a little longer. I'd say with about this year, things have started getting a little better, but then I hit a real big fall off point when COVID hit.
Right.
So within the last 6 months, things have finally started to come together for myself, where I'm finally feeling not so depressed. I'm feeling a little more direction to where I need to be going, but it's not that extreme depression where I can't even move some days, or I can't even do my job, or I don't even want to talk to anybody.
Right.
Those days have definitely, are few and far between. I still have them, but not nearly as much. So yeah, the last 6 months, dude, I've definitely noticed an increase in my overall sense of well-being.
Yeah.
So
Do you attribute that to anything?
I attribute that to, I got off my fucking ass. I didn't take my recovery serious whatsoever. When I first, got clean, like I said, I was just doing whatever I could do to feel. So whether it was good or bad, I did it because I just wanted to feel. And then I wasn't doing any steps to like heal myself. Like I wasn't getting into any hobbies. I wasn't doing the things I was good at. I didn't have anything to focus on. I was just basically moseying through the day, wasting away, smoking pot all day and just fucking off.
Yeah.
So yeah, just the last 6 months, there's been some things that went on between me and my wife and made me realize really what I want in life. And, with wanting my family and my son, and I want to have a good, successful career. I don't want to be a washed up coach. I don't want people to be like, oh, that guy he was good at his time, but then he just kind of fell off, So I finally realized I had a chance to really rebuild myself and who I am and my business. And shit, the last 6 months, dude, I can tell you right now, bro, you and a few of my other guys that I have right now, you have brought life back to me. Like seeing you guys have fun and kick ass in the gym, and like seeing how fucking strong you guys are, that's making me excited about coaching again and exciting about training myself again.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you guys are actually like, you're fucking off fuck all the bullshit. You get after it. You're strong as fuck. You're good dudes. That's been a big reason too. I got a good group of guys I'm working with that are becoming my friends. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm happy to be with you guys. You guys are making me feel good about myself.
That's awesome to hear, because you got to find that purpose, right? Like that purpose for being, right? And
yeah,
it sounds like I'm sure having your son and maybe being in the quarantine and spending a little bit more time with your wife, maybe that's all kind of fueled it as well. So just finding that why are you getting up, and why are you doing what you're doing, kind of thing.
Yeah, because I'll tell you right now, there have been many days, where I woke up and I just be like, what am I gonna do today? What's today? Why? Oh, here goes another day of whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like, and that was a problem too, is because I was at home so much, but I wasn't really doing anything. And in the beginning of the lockdown too, man, nobody could train or do anything.
Yeah. So you weren't even really doing a whole lot of coaching at that point.
Every athlete I had at the beginning, I told them, just, if you need something to do, just Google. There's no point in me developing a bunch of at-home workouts when you can go on Google. So I just told everybody, stop your monthly dues and, don't worry about anything training. When everything blows over, we'll get it figured out. But yeah, basically I don't want to be washed up. And I know that I am reminded, I guess I should say too, with all of you guys, that I still have a good skill. I'm still good at coaching. I can still write good programs. And I have so much to offer yet. So that's why it's kind of, launched me into rebranding and finding purpose again, So I'm thankful for you guys. I'm thankful for my wife, my kid, especially, the quarantine did probably, launch, kind of set me up for these good things to start happening.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, honestly, and I was, like I said, I was talking about this with a guy the other day about the quarantine is actually, it's kind of made or broke certain people, right? Like certain people are going to come out of this quarantine like way better than before, right? There's people that have been working this entire quarantine, to better their situation for when shit starts getting back to normal, right? And I think that's a huge, it's basically like the people that have been working during this quarantine are light years ahead of everyone that's just been sitting at home, right? Like there's no way that anyone's going to catch up to them.
no, dude, that's well said right there, because there's so many people that thought that they were light years ahead of everyone else before the quarantine hit, and the quarantine hit and just totally wrecked their shit. And then a lot of people that have been like, what the fuck am I going to do? What am I going to do here? The quarantine basically were like, oh shit, I can do this, this, and this, or I can do this. And they found themselves. And now they're just, boom, like you said, they're light years ahead of everybody else now.
Yeah.
It took advantage of their shit.
It's figuring out, like, use that extra time, right? Like you got all this extra time sitting at home, figure some shit out, like start your new business, or launch a podcast or some shit, right? Like create some content for YouTube. Like I was telling some guy, I was telling him, basically I saw this chick at the beginning of quarantine. She started doing these at-home workouts, right? She started creating an ebook of at-home workouts that she was selling, and people were ragging on her, right? Like, shouldn't be doing that. It's taking advantage of a situation, right? But she's making a killing now, right? Because she's created this brand now.
Yep. She did the right thing.
Yeah.
And she's not taking advantage of anybody, you know what I mean? She's doing what anybody else out there wanted to do. They wanted to find a way to make a living when all this shit hit the fan, or to figure something out. Who gives a shit that she charged, and all that shit she needs to. It's her work.
Right.
Anybody else would want to be charged for their work. So, and that's the thing is she didn't listen to them people ragging on her, where a lot of people would. They'd be like, you know what? They're right. I shouldn't do this. So fuck this. And then they stop and they don't realize they just gave up a gold mine, or they gave up something that was going to be, that's going to launch their life into something that they've never expected before or never dreamed of.
Yeah.
I think as an individual, you always got to follow your gut. You got to do what's going to be best for you, no matter what the naysayer said. We've all heard that before. Don't listen to naysayers. I'm guilty of it, dude. I've had people say things to me or make comments about stuff that's made me hold back, that made me not do something or not do this. I can tell you how many times I wanted to make a post and then I don't, because I get one little thing in my head where I'm like, yeah, I probably should.
I mean, it's just human nature. I mean, to say that you've never experienced that, I think would be a complete crock of shit. Like, it's always in the back of everyone's head.
Even the people that say I don't give a fuck about what anybody thinks, like, you probably do.
Right. Like there's still that person. Yeah. There's still that little trigger maybe that's in their head that if somebody said that exact thing, they'd be like, oh fuck, you're right.
Yes. It always takes that one thing, and then that's that.
Yeah. I think a huge part of this is the bigger picture, I think, is not letting some little roadblock get in your way, right? Like the quarantine obviously sucked and it's destroyed a lot of things, but you can't let that be your excuse for why you're not going to, try to progress and move forward through this, right? Like there's too many people like with that girl, for example, right? There's a lot of people that are hating on her or whatever for launching that business. But in reality, I mean, how many of them wish they had done that, right? Or wish that was her, or wish that was them.
Yeah.
But sat on their thumb and, blame somebody else for why they couldn't do that.
It's always another person's fault, or something else caused. It's like, I'm that person. I'm like, oh, well, I would have my own garage gym workouts videos if this person didn't say this or this, or this didn't happen to me, or blah, blah, blah. There's always an excuse of why they weren't able to do what they did. So now they're going to hate this person because they're doing it.
Yeah.
And that's, again, I don't know why people feel the need to do that. It's like, don't waste your fucking energy hating someone because they're doing something. Go do it. If you want to make at-home gym workout videos, go make them.
Yeah,
I mean,
learn from it.
yeah, you can make all of them too. There's enough people to go around. I was always taught that when you're business, you just need to get 1% of, for my gym, it was the demographic. I just need to get 1% of that general area of the demographic. 1% ain't shit.
Right.
So it's like anybody, if you want to be a trainer, you want to do this or that, but you're holding back because someone else is already doing it or this is already happening, you can still pursue it. You can still do it. You can still put your own twist on it. Who knows? Your way might be fucking awesome and might dominate the scene,
Well,
So,
that's the thing is that there's always another way to do it. And just because someone's doing it doesn't mean that they're the best at it, right? Like you can always critique it and like take it and make it your own, like you were saying. And there's no reason there's such a large population out there that there's no reason why everyone can't be successful in their own thing.
Right. Like, look how many coaches post coach some sort of a coaching video, and it's some other coach already posted, another coach already posted one similar. You're going to see a lot of the same content, a lot of the same coaches posting the same stuff, but they're all putting their own take and their own twist on it.
Yeah.
So like I can tell you right now, there's been so many times where I haven't posted a coaching video or something because I did think another coach has already posted, or it's like, oh, this has already been, cycled through 100 times. So many people have covered this topic already.
Yeah.
But, I still should put my fucking take on it. I should still put my view on this. Someone might get something from it.
Right. Well, that's the biggest thing is somebody, because how many videos are there about how to teaching someone how to squat, right? Like there's probably a billion fucking videos out there.
YouTube's covered with them.
They're all the same, right? But they all have a slight little twist, or maybe they have a small little, maybe you just phrase something slightly different and it resonates more with somebody now because it's you can't worry about what's been done before or what someone else is doing. If you want to do it, just fucking do it.
Sorry, you cut out there.
Okay.
You there?
Yeah. You good? Yeah.
All right. What'd you ask?
Oh, basically, I was saying that I don't know what the last part is, but basically, I was saying that you shouldn't be worried about what somebody else has done or what someone else is doing. If you want to fucking do something, do it, because there's always going to be an application for it. Like it may not resonate with a million fucking people, but if it resonates with one person, it's worth it.
That's always worth it. It's like, and again, I'm guilty of it too. I was always wanting to, when I posted something, I wanted it to get X amount of likes, X amount of views, and X amount of comments. If it didn't get this or this, then, it was a terrible post or blah, blah, blah. Like, who gives a shit if you get one fucking like on the damn thing? Put the content out there and continue to put the content out, because that's the only way that anybody's ever going to see it or find you. And once you hit one person, that person's going to tell this person and this person, and it blossoms into something else. Nothing usually blows up overnight. It's very rare.
Right.
Usually when you see something blow up overnight, it's already been there. Someone's already been doing it for a while. And then all of a sudden everybody just caught on and it just explodes.
Yeah. Very, very, very rare to find somebody who's never posted anything on the internet and they post something on there and it's got like 2 million fucking views or some shit. Right. Like it's never the case. Never
the case.
Yeah.
I'm happy if I get 100 views.
Well, that's the thing I get a lot, because people are always asking me that, like, how do you get big? How can I get big on social media? It's like it's not like there's no science to it. It's not like I can give you like an equation or something that's gonna fucking post this video, and this video at like this time, and you'll get 1 million followers. Don't worry, dude. It's the consistency aspect of it. Like it's building that, library of content that, maybe only one person sees, but, maybe they tune in every fucking day to see if you post something, and then eventually they'll tell somebody else about it. Right. Or they'll share it, or they'll text it to one of their buddies. Yeah. And that's how you build it. And that's a more meaningful, connection than if you were to, have an account with like 10,000 people, but maybe nobody gives a fuck. Maybe they're
Nobody
just
gives a
scrolling, liking, they're not even looking at your or reading your
They don't give
caption,
a shit.
right? But that one person who tunes in every fucking day and maybe shares it with a couple of his buddies at the gym, that's a more valuable account. I'd rather have 10 followers like that than, 10,000 people that just scroll through and like.
Didn't give a shit. And
Yeah.
you'll see that so often on so many profiles, is they'll just have this mass following, but they get no fucking traffic.
Right.
And it's like, that's, I again would be the same way. Like I want people to see my shit. I want people to get something from it, so that's another thing too. Like when it comes to posting, I wasn't posting all the time. I was only posting every so often, because I felt like I didn't want to overwhelm people with too much, because I felt like some people were just posting so much that it would turn people off.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you can post once a day, money, or maybe sometimes twice a day, that's good. But when you got those one people that are just like share, that's not gonna be the right route to grow. It's always gonna be about the right amount of posting and just posting quality. It's the quality. It's how good.
That's the key right there. The quality. Because if you're posting,
how many posts you can make, it's about the quality of the posts you can make.
well, that's in the same respect. You could be posting 4 times a day, but if they're 4 fucking amazing posts, and nobody's going to care that you posted 4 times a day, right? Like, because they're getting something out of it. I have a couple buddies that have massive social medias, and one of them in particular, he'll post 4 or 5 times a day, right? But it's simply because he's involved with so many different companies that he's trying to get, every single one of them out in front of somebody. But
his posts are basically they're for a purpose.
It's not like he's just
stupid
fucking
shit.
posting a meme. Like
Yes.
we all have that guy or girl that we've followed that posts 10 memes a day, and it's like you go to their page and it's nothing. It's just memes. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah, dude. You're not going to build a following that way. There's already enough meme pages out there.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, and you're exactly right, though, dude. The size of your account and how often you post and all that stuff is not what's super important. It's always coming down to the quality. Yeah. Make a good quality post that's going to tell someone something. Don't just be spouting out bullshit that you can't back up either. I know there'll be some guys that they'll just put it out there, and then you'll see them in the comments. They can't even back up what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think a big part of that right now is that everyone wants to be social media famous, right? Like everyone wants to be that internet guru, like coach, for example, right? Like everyone wants to be the next coach that everyone turns to and like, listens to and buys the program from.
The next Wesley Smith.
Yeah, right. Like, but I feel like it's causing everyone to create similar content. Like it destroys the originality almost, because everyone's trying to replicate what's already been done, right? They don't try to put necessarily their own spin on it. You see it a lot, especially with like the Gymshark community, right? Like, because like that, you can always tell the person that like follows Gymshark or really like is into Gymshark, because all their content is very similar. It all looks the same, right?
Like, damn, is he with Gymshark?
Yeah, right. And he might not even be, but right, like he's just replicating it because he wants to be part of the community. And so, and no disrespect to that guy, right?
Feed off their wave, their success, and their originality is everything,
right? And I think, especially with the fitness community, I feel like it's a big thing where somebody will see a specific type of post and they'll try to replicate it, and they'll try to replicate somebody else's persona, and it's become very, very apparent, like at least nowadays, I feel like.
Dude, I was gonna say I agree with you completely, because it's the same thing. Like, I have a lot of other coaches and stuff that I follow, and I like to see what they're talking about and they're doing, because ideas and stuff that I'd like to post in the future or whatever. But it's like, I know of some people that their post literally will mimic this other coach. I'm like, damn, he literally said that exact same thing. And then you go look, you're like, what the fuck? This dude basically just took exactly what this dude did and just tried to recreate the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't care if we're both talking about bench press tips or whatever, but what is your spin on the bench press tips? What is your take? How do you do it? And the same thing with like my posting. How do I post? I just do it my own certain way. I don't try to set my post up like someone else does or set my caption up like someone else does. I just have my own clean way and I do it that same way every time.
And that's how it needs to be, though. It needs to have your own input. And I think those are the accounts that grow. Those are the people that I think resonate with more people, is because you see the genuine authenticity of the post, right? Like,
yes,
I'm much more likely to trust someone like you, right? Like for posting authentically than somebody who, let's say I'm scrolling through and I see, oh man, that's the exact same post I saw on this other coach. Well, now I don't necessarily trust you because I'm like, how much do you actually know? Or right?
Yep.
Like it creates that doubt, right? Like
you just like a copy paste kind of guy.
Exactly, right?
You know, I got a coach that I know here in the general area that literally people will call him a YouTube coach, because when he talks, it's like he just watched YouTube and he's just regurgitating exactly what he got off of it. So, and his posts will be the same way. You know, you'll notice he'll copy the exact same thing and then, you know, try to put one little twist on it, where it's like, no matter what you do, no matter who you are, it doesn't matter if your business is fitness or whatever. If you're trying to build social media following, just be yourself and make your own content. That's it. People are either going to like it or they're not. And if you feel like people aren't liking it, well, then you need to put a little change on it.
And
twist.
The sad thing about it is he's probably knows, you know, what he's talking about, or he probably has a decent background, but he's pigeonholing himself and he's putting himself in this box where now people aren't going to necessarily trust him because they associate him with, he's a YouTube coach. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
And and honestly, really, that's his reputation he has.
Yeah.
He talks like he's super smart, but people don't buy into it.
Yeah.
So
it's tough, man. It's tough out there.
Just be yourself.
Yeah. Right. That is simple, but
it's
tough
simple,
for some
man.
people.
It's so hard for people to grasp.
Yeah. I think it's tough for people because, you know, and I've dealt with it too, because you'll post something maybe and it's, you know, super authentic and maybe it gets zero traction and you're like, oh man, people hate me. You know what I mean? People hate me.
Like, oh, I'm a loser, dude.
I need to be Bradley Martin. I can't be myself anymore.
I'm fucking next Bradley Martin. And that's the thing too, man. You have guys out there that they, you know, like, I'll see someone like Bradley Martin. He'll make a post or he'll have a picture of himself, and then he'll have this, you know, whatever. And then you'll see some random person literally try to do the exact same thing. And they don't have any following. They have nothing, but they just think that in their head that if they do exactly what he does, they're going to get to where he was.
Yeah.
You know, he was original. He did everything. He just was himself. He literally was just himself, and the dude blew up. Yeah. So it's obvious right there.
Yeah.
Just not everybody's going to have a talent or a certain skill or something that everyone's going to be interested in seeing. You know, your job or your skill or your life might not be someone famous on social media.
And that's okay.
A lot of people get fucking fixated on that. We're like, I have to be a social media icon. Right. And that's not really where they're supposed to be the direction they're going in.
No, you can be totally successful without social media.
Yeah, people have been doing it for decades, hundreds of years.
How is the coaching business going nowadays?
Good, man. I mean, like I said, the COVID, you know, put a dent on it for a while, but it's going a lot better. I'm trying to, like, right now, me and Moses are trying to, like, basically rebrand, come up with a new system, new way that we're going to just run everything. Because one thing with Dubs Barbell, before, I had no system of how I ran it. I just winged everything. I'm like, I know how to program and I know what people need and I know what to do. So I just do what I'm good at. All the business side and the systematic shit, I had no idea how to do. So hopefully now with rebranding, it's going to put a much more, like, I just want to be much more professional with it, and that way run everything a lot better. And I'm not going to take on every single client in the world. Like, I'm going to have my group of guys you guys I work with, and that's what I'm going to stick with. And I'll have a questioning process where, they'll fill out the questionnaire. And if I feel like they're going to best work with me, I'll work with them. If not, then I'll refer them to someone else.
Yeah.
Because in the past, dude, I took on every single person, and my work quality went to shit because I started building all these individual programs for people that weren't in powerlifting or they weren't this. I had so many general fitness people that I was only coaching like 20 to 30 powerlifters. Everybody else I had was just wanted to work out.
Right.
So I got sick of doing that. Yeah. So now moving forward, I'm just basically working with powerlifters, and I'll take on some other stuff if it's worth it. But coaching is
Lost you.
is going. I really do have a good resume of people I worked with. So it's like, how many of you that I got that are, 700-pound pullers, and how many of you are about to be 800-pound pullers? It's like fucking nuts.
Yeah. You kind of cut out there a little bit towards the beginning of that little.
Oh, what'd you hear last?
I just heard basically heard the rebrand and kind of keeping people, doing the questionnaire and.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
now you're working with 20 powerlifters.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I was taking on, at one point I was taking on every single client possible, dude. Like every person I came across, and trying to write all these programs for them and do all this, and it was just stretching me way too thin. I had, X amount of general fitness people and only about 20 powerlifters. Yeah. So I realized that moving forward, I just want to work with powerlifters and maybe some other people if it's worth it, but I don't want to spread myself too thin anymore. Whereas I want to focus on just work quality. That way I can also keep up with 20 people. Whereas trying to message 100 people or, talk to keep up with them on a regular basis sucks. I peaked at 117 total clients at one point, and that was brutal.
That's a ridiculous workload.
Oh, dude, I had no life. I was just buried on my phone.
Yeah. No, it's, and I think, well, I don't know from your experience, the reason you only want to work with powerlifters is that simply because of the style of training that you enjoy programming, or is that more of like the accountability aspect of it? Like, I feel like looking at it from the outside, it seems like general fitness people, there might have to be more accountability, like for telling somebody to get in the gym and start working out and making sure they're following the program kind of thing.
What I like about with the powerlifters is you don't have to talk to them 24/7. Yeah. Like I don't have to send them a message every day to make sure everything's okay. Like if there's an issue, they get a hold of me, or if they need to talk to me, we talk, or I can message them here and there and see what's going on and continue getting their program to them, and everything's good. Whereas a lot of general fitness people, they message me every chance they get. They're constantly with all the questions about some of the most basic stuff. Yeah. And if you're someone who has so many people and they're asking so many questions about so much stuff that is very basic, and you can just go on Google and it'll be right there in front of you. Yeah. That's what I realized was becoming too much, because I don't want to just spend my time answering all these questions about so much simple stuff. I want to get in. I'd rather have someone underneath me that's handling all that while I'm working with, the big heavy hitters like you guys, where it's just the powerlifters. Everybody knows what they need to do. They're already experienced with training. They're already experienced with lifting. They don't need a ton of explanation. They just kind of want to know the direction we're going in and that they're going to reach their goals.
Right. That makes sense. There's a different level of what you can expect from somebody, I guess, based on their backgrounds, right?
Yes.
You don't want to start training somebody online that has never worked out in their life, right? Like it's just not a good situation to be in.
I always ask training experience, how much experience you got, and if you're familiar with everything. And then especially if there's someone who wants to do like conjugate based training, I got to know if they have bands and chains and if they know how to use all that stuff, because it's like I could write out a program for them and then all of a sudden they're like, well, I don't even know what half this shit is.
Yeah. I don't know how to set this up. Like what is that?
Shit.
Yeah. It's
No,
Yeah.
but I would say though, for anybody who's trying to be a coach out there, it is very hard to coach a newbie online. So if you get people that are new to training and never done it, refer them to in-person training.
Yeah.
That's my best bet.
Or at least be able to dedicate more time to it, right? Like you're not going to be able to work with 100 people that are new to training in a
No.
scenario online, because you'd have to do
Understand your workload and what you
Yeah.
can handle.
Exactly. Yeah, I was talking, and now I guess with Zoom, right? Like you could do a Zoom workout. Like you could be working out, I could be critiquing your form. But
Yes.
the thought of at that point, you might as well be doing in-person training. Like it kind of defeats the purpose of doing online
It
training.
really does. And I've heard of plenty of people that doing it. Like I know that a couple people who are trainers are like, oh yeah, well I got a Zoom session, blah, 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 where the person sets the computer up in the garage and then the coach is just there watching the whole thing. And I'm like, damn, really? Like that's what we're coming to now? Like
Yeah.
if you're gonna do that, you might as well just go to a person in person. If you're gonna
Right.
pay the same amount too.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, you're defeating the purpose of going online at that point.
Yeah, you really are.
Because the whole reason I went online initially was because at a certain point you can only train so many people in person, right? Like you're limited by the hours in the day, and so the you could just make way more money online. But if I'm spending time sitting on Zoom, I might as well just go train somebody in person. Like,
yeah, and it'd be better because you get to leave the office and go do and be
yeah,
moving around.
you're not sitting on your ass getting fat.
Dude, yeah. And the thing too, man, like switching to online coaching is much more beneficial, and you are going to be able to tap into a much bigger market. When you're
Yeah.
in-person training, you're only going to be able to get people that live in the area and that are going to be going to that gym. Whereas online, doesn't matter where they are. Doesn't matter. You can coach them from anywhere. So it gives you a much better chance at gaining clientele. But I mean, you think of the social media population, you only need 1% or one small fraction of the amount of people out there to make a decent living, or to have a good client base.
Well, also, even on top of that, you're able to, make it more affordable for somebody to train, right? Like, because when I was training in person, it was, $70-$80 a session, right? Like that person's not going to be able to do that 5 times a week, right? Or 3 times a week, right? Like, unless you're working with some big ballers, but
yeah, dude. And that's
the average person can't afford that shit. So
most of the people that want to do average people, and they can't afford a lot.
Yeah. So
and I would always do like a package deal. I'm like, okay, well, I'm like $75 an hour, but if you buy 10, I'll do 6.
Yeah. But even then, it's still a
deal.
But even then, it's
got
expensive.
$500 to throw down.
Exactly.
So man, damn.
Yeah. Are you guys still doing your gym? Because you had your gym for a while, right? Was that a COVID thing, or was that a personal choice?
Dude, honestly, so we had the gym, and we were just talking about the gym last night about what we would have done differently with it. And honestly, the problem is I had a good start. I was inside of another CrossFit gym, just renting out 1,000 square feet of space.
Right.
So I had that. Everything was good. But, we had some falling out with the people. Basically, the gym we were in, we were supposed to be the barbell club. So anybody that wanted to do barbell stuff came to us. They referred them to us.
Right.
Well, all of a sudden we found out we weren't getting any members. And all of a sudden we found out they set up their own barbell club in another bay and called it the Lion's Den. And then they had my entire business plan wrote out on their whiteboard in their office.
Oh shit.
And they were like, how to get more revenue, online coaching, powerlifting, barbell club. And I'm like, what the fuck? So we basically confront them, and then we ended up moving out of that gym. We moved in with another gym owner, and we were going to split half and half. So we get into this new space. Not even a month goes by, that dude bounces.
Oh shit.
So I'm stuck with the entire bay. And mind you, the rent was $3,100 at the time. And I only had like 10 members.
Oh shit.
So I had to cough up almost $6,000 a month. I had to come up with all that money to pay for the overhead. Luckily, the landlord was cool with me at first. He kind of gave me some breaks on it. But that was 2017. So now, and mind you, I'm also dealing with an addiction at this time.
Yeah.
So we get into 2018, we're stuck in this bay. It was, it was a 4,400 square foot retail space. It was all glass front. It was real cool. But we had that for a while and everything started picking up. We tried to do CrossFit classes for a while, but that went nowhere. That was a dud. We just couldn't find a good quality coach and we just didn't put enough effort into it. So we basically just moved to being a regular come in gym, $50 a month, come in, do your thing. And while that went for a while, we just weren't getting a lot. Not a lot of people were coming. No, we were getting some traffic. I wasn't there enough. Again, I was dealing with an addiction and I was only in the gym to coach people when I had to be. And if I was there, I wasn't really there because I was all fucked up in my head. So I finally, at the end of 2018, so then we get into 2018, then we get into 2019. And mind you, we got the gym still going. How I've managed to get it going this far, I don't even realize it. But at this point, we're burning at both ends. We're still not making any money. And I bring in this guy to basically help me, to basically run the gym, move down here, run the gym for me, and, we'll get things going. He was going to be to get the gym running, making money. He got down there, dude. He had no car. He had no home. He had no nothing. This dude lied to me. He didn't have a place to stay. He basically lived in my gym for the last 3 or 4 months that it was open. So this dude lived in this gym with his buddy in my office. They made the gym smell like shit. Then all of a sudden they had a cat. So my gym had a pet cat for a couple months. And then there was a pet dog. And then I was getting reports that there was dog shit and piss all over the gym. Man. And the turf had piss and shit all over it. And this dude would basically just walk around the gym, no shoes on, no nothing. He hadn't showered, so he'd be just disgusting. And yeah, basically that was the end of 2019. And me and my wife basically just said that this is it. We don't want this fucking thing anymore. We're tired of it. So December 2019, we pulled the plug on it. And honestly, dude, my addiction and my lack of interest in it is what killed it. So
yeah. Well, it's one of those businesses you can't be, half in, right? Like it's a tough market to be in, competing with some of these other big box locations, right? You can't be just dipping your toe in it. You got to be full into that.
And that was my problem. I wasn't full in. I mean, I thought I had to have a gym because I was a coach and I did this and I did that. So I had to have the gym. That was the full package.
Yeah.
Whereas looking back, I wouldn't do the gym at all. I would have just taken the money that I had. It was my own money from, my growing up that I put in, I started the gym with. I wouldn't have used it for that. I would have invested it in other things and invested into a more legit online business.
Yeah.
Because I don't even have a website. So
yeah.
And that was one thing I was like, what the fuck? I don't even have a web page. So it's like, damn, I could have definitely done more effective things with it. But for anybody that's looking to start a gym, I would really, 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 really think about everything, research all aspects. Don't just jump in because it is not one of those businesses where you're going to be fucking rich. You're going to work your ass off for bare minimum.
Yeah, it's. I would say because we had a gym too, and it was but ours was never. The nice thing about ours was it wasn't like we were renting out a new space. It was already a space that we had.
Yep.
So we weren't losing money on rent, right? Like our overhead was very low, so we could afford to do it without making money, right? Like it ended up just being kind of like a content place. We would do content there. We would, train there. Like all my buddies would train there. So it was a nice hangout spot. But
yeah, I remember seeing it. It was legit. It didn't have a big ass shipping container in it.
Yeah, we had 2 Connex containers in it. So but if that was the sole means of making revenue, and that was had a rent and a bunch of overhead, there's no way. There's just too much competition out there for you to make a shitload of money unless you're, a well-known coach and you're selling a lot of training. And it's just the amount of work that would require it's not equal to what I was willing to put into it. Right. So, and I think a lot of people get into the idea of oh man, owning my own gym would be fucking awesome. I'd love to own my own gym. It seems great. But I don't think I would ever really want, if I were to open another gym, it would be a similar situation. It'd have to be a space that we already had that we're not paying rent, and it probably wouldn't be open to the public, right? Like, because opening up to the public, you deal with a bunch of people that don't know what the fuck they're doing. You got all this liability insurance. Like, there's a lot of shit that goes into that.
There's so much. And that's the thing too. Like, I didn't even have all the proper insurance that you needed. I think I might operate without insurance for quite a long time, dude, because like, can't fucking afford the shit.
Right.
I'm already broke, it was nuts. And that's the thing, dude, you're going to drop so much change on just getting the business going that it almost makes it just not appealing at all. Cause you're like, the initial investment to have a legitimate gym, unless you got a space already, and like with me, I already had all the equipment because I, had a garage gym forever. So I had legitimate rogue equipment. So that helped us out a little bit in the beginning. And then I had a buddy, my friend Lee, who owns Fitness Depot here in Houston. He hooked me up with all my equipment. Yeah. So without those factors, I wouldn't have had shit.
No, the equipment alone is people don't even realize that. Like the equipment going into some of these gyms is just astronomically large.
Yeah, and I just bought all used. I didn't buy anything new. Everything I had was used, and it was still 20 grand.
Yeah, it's a yeah, because it seems like I talk to a lot of people, on a daily basis, and a lot of people are all like, "Oh man, I want to start my own gym." It's like, I think you need to sit with that idea for a little bit and think about, why do you want your own gym?
Really? Yeah. Dude,
maybe you just need a garage gym, right? Like, you don't need a legitimate space.
The why is the biggest question. Why are you starting a gym? And if your first thing that you think about is like, well, damn, all my bros can be here and we can do this and that, you're already on the wrong track, because
your bros aren't going to pay the bills.
They aren't paying shit. I mean, I love all my bros, and for one of you guys who see this, a lot of you guys didn't pay. I still love you.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
They definitely didn't see at the time how that hurt business,
Right.
like letting my boys come in, and a lot of them trained for free, and it's like, girl.
Yeah.
The guy that I work at, the gym that I work out of now, where I do some training here and there, I love how he does it. He doesn't take no shit, and he runs his business like a business. Even friends, you all pay. You don't get to come in for free.
Yeah.
And he charges people day passes, where people just came for a day. I'm like, do your thing. Who cares? Where it's like, that little bit of money helps.
Yeah. It adds up.
So
it adds up.
It does. It shit adds up a lot.
Yeah.
So
you live and learn, though, man. That's part of going through life right there.
Yeah, that's the good thing you said right there is, no matter what failure you go through in life, like I was in prison, I had an addiction, and I lost my business. Those are some major fucking failures right there. And I could have let them drag me down even farther. Who knows where I could have gone if I would have, not picked myself back up. But something in me just, I wasn't going to let that be the end of me. I know that I have a purpose to do something greater. I know there's a feeling inside me that I am destined to really do something. So that's what continued to get me the drive to figure.
Yeah. Wait. I can't hear you right now.
Figure out new ways.
Oh, there you go. Back.
Cool.
Go ahead.
Right. So what did I say?
The drive to the failure.
Oh, the drive, that drive, the to not fail again, like I would never have thought of myself being someone who does day trading and option trading. Like now I'm really invested into the stock market and doing day trading, whereas 10 years ago, 5 years, even a year ago, I never would have thought of that being myself, me being something I did, or a career path I pursued. But because of other failures and just not wanting to give up and not wanting to say like, oh well, now what am I gonna do? Let's just go get a regular job.
Right. No,
I was like, I'm gonna figure something out. I'm gonna find something that I'm good at and take a shot at it.
Right.
There's something my wife said too, is that I'm good at everything I try. Everything I try to do or get involved with, I'm fucking good at.
Yeah.
And it almost becomes a problem because I can't really focus in on one thing, because I'm like, well, I can do this, but then I can also do this.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I need to find something where I just focus. That's where my attention is for my career. So that's why it kind of led me to rebranding the Dubs barbell. You know, it's already established. I already have it. It's already been doing things. It's still there.
Yeah.
So why don't I rebrand it, give it some new life, and let's get it going again.
Well, that's a thing with a lot of the businesses, right? Like it's the not the overnight success, right? Like it's never the overnight success. It's really, it comes down to attrition, like who can stake in the longest, right? Like
Yes.
just because you started this business and maybe it wasn't successful year 1 or year 2 or even year 3, right? Like you'll never know if it's going to be successful year 5 if you just give up, right? Like, and chances are that you will give up too early, right? And I see that a lot with a lot of, you see that, you hear that about that a lot with like entrepreneurs, right? Like they're invested in their business and it's going, and the first 5 years suck. And then year 6, it starts to turn around. They start making a little bit of money. And then, but how many people are making it to year 5, right? Like how many people just take that little speed bump and they're like, you know what, fuck it, I'm going home. I'll go get a 9 to 5 at fucking, McDonald's. I don't know. Right. Whatever.
Such a small amount, dude. And that's the thing. That's why there is only a small percentage of very successful people, because the mass majority always ends up giving up too soon.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in like talk about investments. You're going to ride the wave of a price of something. Sometimes some things will go up and then they'll go down, and a lot of people will jump ship when it's going down and not wait for it to recover and boom,
Yeah.
It's the same thing with you're going to go through highs and lows, and it's all about what you were just talking about. I mean, are you going to give up and go just do whatever because you're fed up, or are you going to fucking pick yourself out, back up, lace your bootstraps, and figure out the next thing? What's the next phase? What's the next play? What's the next hustle?
And I think that comes down to that why. Like, why are you doing it, right? Like, because if you have a good why, it's easier to stick with that, right? Like, it's easier to say, you know what, fuck it, it's going to get better. But if your why is simply like the gym, right? I want a place for me and my bros to train. Like, you're never going to fucking make it, dude. Like, year 1 will happen. You won't be able to make rent one time.
Oh. I can hear you now.
Okay.
You're good.
I don't know where I was at. When you lost me.
Time?
Oh, well, it's like basically, right? Like that, finding that why of why you're doing it, right? Like, because if your why is simply, I want to have a place where my bros and I can train, right? Like, you're never gonna fucking make it. You're gonna get to year 1, you're gonna miss rent maybe, and then you're gonna be like, fuck it, this isn't worth it, right? But if your why is, like, hey, I want to create this fucking environment where people are training and like we have all these different, people coming together and we're a big community, right?
Yep.
Like, there's a much better chance that you're going to fucking make it at the end,
Much
right?
better.
But
the community aspect
or the coaching aspect, right? Like
Yes.
I want to fucking train elite athletes, right?
Yep.
And you're going to just continue to fucking do that. It's not like, hey, I want to coach because I want to make, millions of dollars, right?
Yep.
If that's
Or
your why,
or
you're fucked.
They think that they're gonna make a ton of money being a coach, and it's like, no, dude. Like,
I mean, you
even some of
might.
the coaches like, no, huh?
You might at some point, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was going to say. There might be a point in time where you hit it big or something takes off, because there's a bunch of coaches that are making fucking bank. But it's going to take that. Like, you got to have that why. Right. They have the why. Their why is something so deep and strong, rooted in them, that's why they're at where they're at.
Yeah, their why wasn't, hey, I want to make $1 million, so I'm going to be a coach. No, their why was, hey, I want to, make this person better. I want to make this like a better scenario for this team, right? Like, there's shit that goes into it besides just the monetary aspect of it.
Yes, dude. And that's, if you're focusing on the other things besides the monetary part, like that part ends up you're following with it. So it's like, if you have the good intentions, the good why, you're putting the right effort into things, all the rest of it falls into place every time. 100%. It never fails. If you focus on the right shit, the rest of it all comes with it.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier about the posting, right? Like, if you're just posting shit, maybe nobody's fucking liking it, right? but you keep posting it, eventually it's going to pay off. Or, maybe
Yes.
you're training some people, maybe, you gave your buddy a program for free or a diet for free, right? Like you gave out a few of those. Yeah, it sucks, but eventually that's going to pay off, right? Because
Every time,
something,
dude.
it you have to put in that free work, that work where you're not making any money initially for yourself to make money in the long run.
Yeah, I coached I don't know how many people for almost a year for free
Yeah.
before I ever started. I had been a coach since 2007. I've been personal training and stuff since 2007. And even when I was already at like powerlifting coaching, I still didn't take on any charge anyone. I was doing it all for free. And I got a bunch of guys competing and got some meets under their belts. And then I started, when people started messaging me and inquire about it, that's when I made it legitimate. Like, okay, now I'm legitimately coaching online.
Yeah.
I didn't just go to a powerlifting meet or, I didn't just work out a couple times and then say, oh, I'm a coach now, and that's what I'm having a huge issue with is like, I'm getting clients coming to me and people coming to me and hearing the stories of shit they had to go through where, oh, I had this coach, but then he just charged me all this money and then he gave me this bullshit fucking program and he barely talked to me, he barely did this, barely did that. And it's like, damn, that's because half these motherfuckers don't know what they're doing. They're just jumping into being a coach because they think it's cool
Right.
or it's gonna, they're gonna be popular or whatever.
It's going to make them insta famous.
Yeah, if you're gonna be a coach, you have to legitimately give a shit about the people you're working with, and with me, I'm at a point now to where I've worked with so many people who are just general fitness. I do just want to work with legit guys. I want to work with legit guys that know what they're doing and make big things happen.
Yeah, that's kind of part of the reason why I got out of the coaching and the training aspect of things is because I got kind of burnt out on the general fitness in general, just like kind of burned me out. It became more of like therapy sessions and, talking sessions, like learning, like
You're a
people just
therapist.
venting. Yeah. They're just venting to you. Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just want to train some fucking legit athletes, some people that actually give a shit. They're going to work hard. I don't have to like baby and be like, oh, it's all right. Like we'll go harder next time. Like,
Yeah.
fuck that.
Dude, I love it too, working with elite guys because I love when you guys post. I'm like, oh yeah, like this workout's coming up. They're gonna have something fucking legit.
Yeah.
They're gonna put this out there. Like your general fitness people aren't gonna be like, oh man, coach gave me a great one today. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, and you're right, dude. You are a therapist at some point because even doing all the PT back in the day, like I just remember being like, I would become a little depressed because I felt like people were putting all their negative shit on me.
Well, it just weighs you down, dude. It's just
Man.
too much.
You can't stop thinking about the negative shit that they told you. You're just like, oh gosh, man, it's making me negative.
It just exhausts you, dude. It just exhausts you.
It is.
It's the bandwidth, right? There's only so much bandwidth, and you can't waste it on other people's issues sometimes.
And that unfortunately happens to so many of us. A lot of our bandwidth gets wasted on shit we don't want it to be wasted on. I just talked to a guy in my trading group. He was a personal trainer for 12 years and he said he quit doing it to just do investing. And he said literally the same thing, that he got so sick of hearing everybody's problems. He felt like he wasn't training anymore. He's like, I should have just been a psychologist.
You're just a social worker at that point.
You're a social worker.
Right on. All right, man. Well, this has been good, dude. This has been real good. We got to do it again sometime because there's a lot of shit we didn't touch on, but absolutely. I think this was a good one, man. I think this was a good one. Why don't you, before we turn it off, why don't you let people know where they can check you out, where they can sign up if they're interested in.
If anybody wants to get interested or is interested in training or anything, you can find me on Instagram at coach_dubs HTX or at Excision Performance and Nutrition on Instagram. You can also find me on Facebook, Justin Dubs, or through any of, find me through James here too. So
right on. Yeah, man. I'm digging the new rebrand, by the way. It looks dope. Excited for it.
I'm very excited about it happening. I'm ready for something fresh and new, and I'm glad I got Moses on board. He's been a great help, but he's a young dude. Yeah. And so, I just told him he wants to be a coach in the future too, and he's good at doing all the social media and the marketing stuff. And
there you go.
Perfect blend. Me and him together, that's something I want to touch on real quick. Never be afraid to ask for help. Never be afraid to ask for help.
That's
for
a
so
major
long,
key.
I tried to do this by myself, and I finally went to someone and said, "Hey, you know what? You might be the guy to help me get this going."
Yeah.
And here I am. I'm rebranding. Awesome things are happening. So never be afraid to ask for help.
Fuck yeah. Well said, dude. All right, man. Well, let's talk later, but this was awesome, man.
All right, bro. Take care of yourself.
All right, take it easy. Later.
Bro.